Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Arlington Redevelopment Board meeting tonight on August 11th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Rachel Zemberry. I am the chair of the board. With the other members of the board, please introduce themselves.
Steve Revelak, good evening.
Eugene Benson.
Shayna Corman Houston.
Ken Lau.
And this evening, we have joining us from the Department of Planning and Community Development, the Assistant Director, Sarah Suarez.
Hello.
Great. Thank you so much. So let's move right to our first agenda item, which is a review of the meeting minutes. We will first move to our meeting minutes from July 14th, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections, starting with Steve?
None here.
Jean?
None.
Shayna?
None.
Ken?
None here.
And I don't have any either. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 14th?
So motioned.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Shayna?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Those meeting minutes have been approved. We'll next move to the meeting minutes from July 21st, 2025. Any additions or corrections, starting with Steve?
None here.
Jean?
None.
Shayna?
None.
Ken?
None here.
And I don't have any as well. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 21st?
So motioned.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Shayna?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Those meeting minutes are approved, and that concludes agenda item number 1. We'll now move to agenda item number 2, which is the agenda item of the committee appointments, and I will turn it over to Sarah.
Hello. We, at town meeting this year, there was a motion and a vote to establish an affordable housing overlay committee, and we have an opening on that position for an ARB member, an ARB appointee to be appointed to that position. We also have I believe we have 2 vacancies on the AMP UP, which is the Arlington Master Plan Comprehensive Plan Update Advisory Committee. And we also have a role available with the Envision Arlington Standing Committee. It is my understanding that the board has selected a potential candidate for the affordable housing overlay. Is that?
Yes, if you would just, do you have the information in front of you? Okay. I think that we do need to move forward with this appointment tonight. If you give me 1 second. I thought Claire was going to send those. Okay, so for the Affordable Housing Overlay District applications, my understanding is that we had 2 applicants as of our last meeting. One of the applicants withdrew their interest, and we had received the letter of interest and the background information for Carol Kowalski. So I'll open it up for members of the board for any discussion this evening, and then I'd like to move towards a vote of whether or not we would like to appoint Carol Kowalski as the ARB designee for the Affordable Housing Overlay District Committee. Starting with Steve.
Yeah, I would support Ms. Kowalski. She is a planner. She has a great deal of expertise in this area. She has formerly served as Arlington's Director of Planning and Community Development, and I think we're very fortunate to have such a qualified applicant express interest in the position. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Jean.
I agree with what Steve said. I'll just add a couple of things. Carol, have you actually read the motion to commit that created the committee? I'd just like to take this opportunity to inform you that the committee cannot do one thing that's listed in the motion to commit, and this is based on a conversation I've had with the town council, the committee does not have the legal authority to put in a warrant article. It can ask the redevelopment board to put in a warrant article. It can get 10 individuals to sign a petition, but it can't do it on its own. So I think one of the roles of the designee of this board is to explain that to the Affordable Housing Overlay Committee so it doesn't go forward with the misinformation that it can file a warrant article.
Great, thank you, Jean. Sheena?
I think Steve said it very well. I am in support of Ms. Kowalski.
Great, thank you. Ken?
I agree with my other board members here. I think she's well qualified, and I would nominate her.
Great, thank you. I also thank Ms. Kowalski for her interest and am excited to have her a part of this committee. I think it's I appreciate, Jean, you also clarifying the legal notice that we needed to provide on behalf of town council for the committee as well. So with that, is there a motion to approve Carol Kowalski's, or appoint Carol Kowalski as the ARB designee on the town's Affordable Housing Overlay Committee?
So moved.
Second,
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve,
Yes.
Jean,
yes.
Shayna,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Congratulations. Thank you. And what I'd love to do is to find an opportunity to touch base afterwards, and we can talk about maybe frequency of discussions back with the board. We'd certainly be very interested in progress as the committee moves forward. And when Claire Ricker returns from her vacation, I'm sure that she'll be touching base as well. And I believe, Sarah, you are also serving on the committee.
Correct.
So there'll be plenty of opportunity to connect. Great, thank you so much. Okay, the next committee is the AMP Up Committee, and let's see, the information, let me just pull up the information I received from Claire. We received last week from Director Ricker her recommendation to appoint David Fatula, a local business owner and member of the Arlington Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, to the committee, to one of the two open positions. And she did submit the letter of interest and the resume accordingly. So I'd like to open that to Steve for discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Fatula attended, Director Ricker invited Mr. Fatula to attend the last comprehensive plan update committee meeting. I thought it was great to have representation from the Chamber of Commerce. Economic development has been, quite the topic of interest, and I also thought he had a lot of interesting stuff to offer. So I'm very supportive.
Great, thank you so much. Jean?
Is he here tonight?
Fantastic.
Hi, David. I have a couple questions for
So
you.
I'm so sorry, if I could just ask so that we could pick you up on microphone, if you wouldn't mind just joining us right over here. Thank you so much. Great, thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
And yeah, thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for being interested. I missed the last meeting of the committee because I was out of town. My question has to do with the letter that you wrote to Claire, which talked about recreation resources and commercial space needs in town. I just want to make sure that while those are things that other people have talked about too, that you're open to wide discussions about that and haven't come to any complete conclusions about them yet.
Yeah, I look forward to those discussions. I actually was really happy to join the Zoom meeting was it last month already? last week, 2 weeks ago. And it was great to hear everybody's opinions on everything that was discussed I think I've been a resident of Arlington almost 20 years now. I do have 2 kids in the school system who do other extracurricular activities here as well. As you already know, I'm a local business owner running a business out of my home, and Arlington is a phenomenal place to live and raise a family, and I do think that we could continue to improve services in Arlington, and I think that includes recreational services for our kids, and I think we could add a more diversified commercial tax base and a more diversified business community that expands beyond retail storefronts at the bottom of multifamily developments. I think there's plenty of room for commerce, light industrial, maker space, even office space if we had the opportunity for the appropriate zoning and the expansion of certain areas that would allow for it. So I'm open to any conversation about all of these matters. I think Arlington's already a wonderful community, and I think there's ways to improve it, and I'd love to add my 2 cents, I guess, and my value from 20 years of commercial real estate management and development experience, as well as now owning a business here in town that's a completely different industry, and that I do a lot of youth programming for. So I see a lot of holes in where I think that we could improve recreational opportunities for our kids. So those are the things I wrote about in my letter, because I think that they're the most important things to me relative to moving forward with the 10-year master plan. But yeah, I haven't drawn any specific conclusions, or I'm not picking a path that I'm trying to enforce. It's more that I want to be able to have a seat at the table and express these things, because I think I represent a lot of our community in wanting those things for Arlington.
Great, thanks. And I've seen your truck many times. Now I know what you do.
Awesome.
Great, thank you, Jean. Shayna?
I really appreciate hearing from you what was in your letter. That really helped sort of flesh out, and that's very valuable insight. I think you'd be an excellent addition to the committee, and thank you for putting yourself forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ken?
I'm supportive of him. I think he adds a good, diverse opinion, and I'm supportive of him being on the committee. Fantastic,
great. And I, too, am thrilled to have representation from the Chamber of Commerce join the committee as well. So is there and I'm sorry, can I make sure that I'm pronouncing your last name? Is it Fatula?
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay, perfect. Is there a motion to appoint David Fertula to the as one of the ARB's designees to the AMP Up committee?
So motioned.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Shayna?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Congratulations, and we
Thank
look
you.
forward to working together with you as part of that committee.
Great. Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Let's see, and Sarah, I believe that that leaves one open seat available, as well as Envision Arlington for the board to discuss at our next meeting.
Correct. And you can decide if we want to post the position as available, or if you have recommendations, we can certainly go forward with either way.
Great, I'll open it up to the board for discussion, starting with Ken.
No, I haven't. No comment right now.
Shayna?
Nothing.
Jean?
I think it would be good to post the
Both?
positions as available.
Great.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, great. So Sarah, I think what we would like to ask is that the open seat on the AMP Up committee, as well as the Envision Arlington seat, be posted as open opportunities. Great. So with that, any other discussion on item number 2? Seeing none, we will move on to our third agenda item, which is the opening of the public hearing, or excuse me, the continuation of the public hearing for docket number 3862, 126 Broadway. We will be meeting with the applicants this evening. By way of process, what we'll do this evening is we will ask the Department of Planning and Community Development for a brief introduction. We will then turn it over to the applicant for up to 10 minutes. Again, we've thoroughly read the application, but we'd love for you to present the application, anything that you'd like to specifically highlight or to discuss that may be in support of the materials that have previously been submitted. We'll then turn it over to the board members for any questions that they might have for you, or any preliminary discussion. We'll open this up for public comment, and then we'll bring it back to the board for discussion as to whether or not we'll be able to take a vote this evening, or whether more information will be required. Looking at the timing, because I do see quite a few people who have joined us this evening, we are scheduled for our second hearing of this evening at 8:40 p.m. So we will close public comment by 8:30 p.m. Just let's keep that in mind. I'll keep an eye on timing as we get towards that time, but we would like to make sure that we have enough time for discussion and deliberation of the board. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Sarah Suarez.
Thank you. This is an application by Stephen Mamoni and Thomas McDonough of 126 Broadway LLC, and to open site plan review docket number 3862 in accordance with the site plan review provisions in section 5.9.3 of Arlington zoning bylaw. The applicants propose to demolish an existing two-family dwelling and detached garage in order to construct a 5-story mixed-use building with a 1,400 square foot commercial unit and 14 residential units above at 126 Broadway, which is at the corner of Broadway and Everett Street. The residential units are a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units, which will include 3 affordable housing units. The entire building will be serviced by an elevator, ensuring that all 14 residential units are accessible, and 1 of the 5 proposed parking spaces will be accessible. The property is zoned residential two-family district and is also in the Mass Ave Broadway multifamily housing overlay district. The applicant has elected to apply the Mass Ave Broadway multifamily overlay to this development pursuant to section 5.9 of the zoning bylaw, which provides a process for the Arlington Redevelopment Board to review and potentially impose reasonable conditions through site plan review for an as-of-right development proposal. The ARB shall provide site plan review for projects using the environmental design review standards set forth in section 3.4.4 of the zoning bylaw. As a brief reminder, Arlington adopted its multifamily housing overlay district in response to a state mandate requiring communities served by the MBTA to create zoning districts that encourage the development of more multifamily housing in areas with access to public transit, with the goal of expanding housing options for a wider range of residents and reducing dependency on cars, and to promote a more sustainable land use. Town staff has met with the applicant on several occasions to discuss this project, and they have provided a number of materials for your review, including updates to drawings, the transportation demand plan, and a lead checklist updated as of Friday, August 8th. With that, I would turn it over to the applicant, if that works.
Great. I just wanted to, before we move to the applicant, thank you so much, Sarah. I do want to, for everybody joining us this evening, want to just amplify one thing that Sarah did mention, the difference between a special permit and site plan review, as there were, I think there was some confusion about this from folks who joined us at our last meeting. What this board has seen a lot of in the past are special permits, and that is what we review specifically when there are uses that are conditionally allowed, when the board is imposing site-specific conditions and potential relief. A site plan review is, in this particular district, it has already identified that this use is allowed. It has set out required setbacks and height limits that the applicant is working within. What we will be reviewing this evening are not those items. We will make sure that they adhere, but specifically proper site layout, environmental, making sure that they meet the environmental requirements, building design elements and neighborhood compatibility, and compliance with the technical standards. So just again, so that we understand, this is not about whether this is a proper use, height, et cetera, for the property. That is already set out in the neighborhood design guidelines. This is specifically around the specifics of this project. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the applicant.
One question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Do I set up paperboard?
Yes, please. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and doing so over at the microphone.
But I can set up a board right here on this.
Yes, you may. Yeah, of course. Thank you. And we're happy to pull anything that you would like from the submission up on the screen as well. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Maimoni, and I'm here with my father-in-law, Tom McDonough. Tom McDonough, my father-in-law. I have Tim Johnson, our architect. I have Alec Congress, our civil engineer. And I have Michael Cabral, our zoning attorney. We're here to present our site plan for 126 Broadway, a thoughtfully designed rental project that we feel helps meet Arlington's growing need for quality and attainable housing by creating a well-managed rental unit building rather than high-sale condos. The project offers long-term housing stability, supports a diverse population, and keeps the property actively engaged in the community for years to come. We are currently real estate developers who own and manage multiple real estate properties in Medford, Somerville, and the greater Boston area. And we look forward to sharing the details and answering questions about our proposed project. And
Great.
with that, I'll leave it to Tim. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, do I need to speak into this?
You do, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see if that can. It is challenging sometimes for it to, and I don't think that pulls out of the holder. Sean, does that? No, I'm sorry. So if you're able to actually sit and present, that would probably be the easiest. And again, we can pull anything up that we need to up on the screen over here. Thank you. I don't know that the microphone is going to pick you up. It's a challenging audio system. I apologize. Thank you. We have lots of accessories. No.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Now we can. That's
Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
Sorry. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. And thank you all who are here for this project for coming tonight. We know your time's valuable, and we hope we present a project that will fit the needs for the future needs of the town, and also add a stable and diverse rental property to the neighborhood. All right. Can you hear me? You really? I guess I got you to put it right here.
We're going to do the best we can. So just go ahead, please, with your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Sorry. My name is Tim Johnson, the project architect. My office address is 599 East Broadway in South Boston. My two clients, Steve Maimoni and Tom McDonough. We've worked in the past, and I know the quality of work that they do generate. As Sarah mentioned, this is a 0.13 acre site on the corner of Broadway and Everett Street. It is in the multifamily overlay district. My clients are proposing to demolish the existing structure. It's a relatively flat site, and erect a new 5-story mixed-use building. There'll be 1 commercial unit and 14 residential units. 3 of the 14 residential units will be affordable. There will be 6 2-bedroom units, 8 1-bedroom units. And so, north is up on the site plan. This is Broadway. This is Everett. This is our commercial space. It's a 1,400 square foot commercial space, which the entrance faces Broadway, which has on-street parking. Around the corner, we have the residential entrance, which faces Everett Street. The residential foyer area will have a five-stop elevator, which makes all units handicap adaptable. And also our parking entrance is also off Everett Street at the existing curb cut, which will be slightly reconfigured. And we are providing for our transportation modalities, we have 5 off-street parking spaces. We have a bike room for 22 bikes. And we also have a transit screen in the foyer with real-time data on bus routes, times, and also blue bike locations, availabilities rather. In the public realm improvements, again, this is Broadway on the right side. We will be adding 4 visitor bike parking spaces in the public realm, along with, we'll be creating a new ADA compliant curb cut, apex curb cut at the corner of Everett and Broadway. And lastly, we will be creating a new curb along Everett Street, which currently has none. And that will be able to give us a good grass walkway, grass area in the public realm. Very strong landscaping component. The massing of the building. This is a 5-story building, and you really want to work at ways to break down the massing, to add some character to the building, deep shadows, really look at breaking down the mass of a building. And the way we're looking at doing it here is through upper floor setback along Broadway. All the balconies will be recessed, creating deep shadows, which also affects the massing of the building. And we're also using a design principle called tripartite division, which, like the old Greek columns, it's a very strong division, horizontal division of base, shaft, and capital. So really, and really looking at some of the old, design principles to really work at breaking down the massing of this building. And lastly, all the windows are in a proportion of 2 to 1 or 2.5 to 1, which again reflects the golden section. All right, and lastly, the green aspects of the building. And we can certainly get into more detail when questions arise. The green aspects of the building, of course, this is built to the stretch energy code, which is 20% more energy efficient than current code. We have an elevator which will be bringing in 3-phase electric, which will make it an easy transition to an all-electric building for heating, cooking, and cooling. We also will follow the dark sky initiative. All exterior fixtures will be downlit and shielded using warm LED lights, which is a very short wavelength. And finally, our lead consultant on the project, Ruben Valenzuela, calculated enough points through the design of the building to make this a LEED certified building. And with that, Madam Chair, that's a quick overview. I will hand it over to Alec, our civil engineer.
Great, thank you very much.
Hello, Hello, my name's Alex Chongers with Chongers Engineering. Would you be able to throw up my plans, a civil plan set? Thank you.
And we have just about 3 or 4 minutes left for the presentation.
Sure, I'll be
Great, thank you.
very brief. My name's Alex Chongers with Chongers Engineering. So very simple in terms of civil design. It's a relatively flat lot, which is very easy in terms of civil purposes. We have an existing structure. The total increase in impervious area is around, I believe, around 1,300-ish square feet over what's existing. All stormwater is being mitigated in a Caltech system underneath the proposed driveway towards the south end of the property. We modeled everything for up to the 100-year storm. The existing conditions, the proposed conditions will be less, or the proposed conditions, the runoff will be better than or equal to existing conditions. It's going to be serviced by sewer. We're trying to keep most utility connections on Everett Street rather than trying to cut into Broadway to try to reduce the amount of cut up into the street. And they'll be serviced by water and electric, and in terms of civil, stormwater is the biggest concern, but like I said, we are servicing with us 8 Caltech chambers in the driveway, and we don't anticipate any increase in runoff.
Great, thank you very much. Anything else from the applicant? Okay, great. Well, at this time, we'll turn it back over to the board for any initial questions for the applicant, and we'll start with Ken.
Well, I'm going to start off with, I'm very supportive of the MBTA project of taking capture of more housing units. I do have some issues with this project here, and I just want to go over with you right now. I noticed that you guys had pulled the building back, so it's no longer overhanging the sidewalk. It's a good thing. But you also have, I'm assuming Broadway is the front yard, and Everett Street is a side yard, and the other two are side yards. So there's a portion of the building that overhangs into the side yard setback. Is that allowable by MBTA? If you follow the MBTA things, I don't believe so. Can you check on that, please?
Yes, sir. You're saying we have an overhang into the public space along?
Yeah, right here. You are indicating this right here is your setback line.
Yes, sir.
And then this line here says your building overhangs into the setback.
Yes.
So you're into the setback.
Yes, with a bay window.
I don't think that's allowed. Okay?
Okay.
I think the only setback you're allowed is on the front yard setback, and you're only allowed a foot for, cornices and everything else, okay?
Okay.
And then you have a 20-foot rear yard setback here. And you have a chunk of your building that's into the rear yard setback. That is also not allowed. All right, so can you, I just want you to verify and check that, make sure that what I'm saying is correct, and then make the adjustments, okay?
Yes, sir.
But those are two major things right now that I have issues with, okay?
Anything else, Ken?
Yes,
Okay,
it's okay if I take a little
please keep going.
If I look at your building section, let's take just, sorry, can you go to this one here? Your floor-to-floor heights are 10 feet for all the units.
Correct.
So roughly you have a little less than 9 feet ceiling heights in your units, give or take.
8 for 10.
Yeah, roughly, okay? But that only allows you 10 feet on the first floor. I don't think that's enough for any viable commercial space. Okay, it's just too tight. I'm assuming you're doing a steel frame podium, concrete deck with 4 floors of wood frame above it, right?
That's one option, would be type 1A with 4 stories of type 5A.
Yep.
But we may do a type 3B, which would be all, the exterior wall would be fire
Fire treated, yes.
After our wood, we can go up 5 stories with that. And that may be more conducive, conducive for this site.
But 10 feet is not going to give you enough space for commercial space, all right?
We can certainly look at reducing the residential floors to increase the commercial.
Correct. You got to get at least 13 or 14 feet, okay? That's bare bones minimum, okay? Because otherwise you're not going to get, I mean, it's mixed use. You're saying, you're claiming to have a commercial space down there. You got to make enough space for them to work, all right?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Is there a minimum in the zoning code for ceiling height in commercial spaces?
No. Okay, but, you know, you're not gonna make a commercial space 6'8" because there's no minimum. It just doesn't make any feasible sense,
For my own information.
okay?
Understood.
Also, you did not mention anywhere, it's a flat roof, right? On the roof there?
Yes, sir.
So is it internally drained or you got gutters on the outside?
It'll be
And
internal. I rarely use gutters. It's all internal.
it doesn't show, I'm asking.
Yeah.
So it'll be internally drained.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then, you don't show any, on your floor plans, any washers for dryers. Do you have that in the units or no?
That is, we're still talking about whether we will do a washer-dryer room for sharing, or each unit will have a stackable unit, which is only about a 3-foot by 3-foot closet. So we can.
The square footage is not concerning to me. What's concerning to me is how you vent it to the outside. All right, or is it not going to be vented to the outside?
No, we'll be using the new heat pump stackable washer dryers.
Okay, condensating dryers.
That's correct.
Okay, fine. Please make that noted that way, saying there's no outside dryer. You know, I don't want to see an elevation full of all these little dryer vents everywhere, stuck everywhere, okay? That's,
No venting period on the vertical surfaces, only through the roof.
that's, I just want to make sure we acknowledge that. I don't want to see it later on, okay?
Is that only confined to the street elevations or all the others?
All elevations.
You're really tight to your neighbors, okay? I'm not going to blow to your neighbors, okay? And then also kitchen exhaust. How do you plan to handle kitchen exhaust? Same thing, right? You're going to put in a vertical shaft up, or you're going to stick it out side elevation? I want you to address that, okay? I'm not asking for answers now. I'm just saying, here's the questions, because I want you to come prepared and think about it. I don't want you to just, you know.
No, I can answer now. We'll have recirc hood vents, and we'll have ERVs in each unit, which will give us that fresh air exchange.
Okay. So right now you're saying there's no outside vents on the exterior elevations,
Understood. Yes.
and no rain leaders or anything like that. It's all internally drained.
Correct.
Okay. That does a lot for me, okay?
Okay.
And I also want to question your window framing. When I look at your windows, it looks like on the lower floors, you have double hung windows. And the upper floors, you have like awnings or hoppers or however you want to call those. Why?
It's just a change. That is the center or the shaft, if you will, of the building, and it's just changing a window type to make each horizontal layer very distinct from the other. So, if you look at that elevation, on the commercial space, we have wide open.
That's not my concern. I'm talking about the two top floors.
No, I understood, but I'm giving you the hierarchy.
Okay.
So we start with the big panes of glass. Second and third will have double hung, and the fourth and fifth would have a different type, perhaps a casement with a awning hopper.
I'm going to agree to disagree with you on that one, okay? Because I'm not going to, I just think it's not appropriate there, okay? And that's my opinion. I'm going to let the rest of the board decide too, okay, on that. And also how you choose to trim out the window. You know, you do have nice trim work around the lower floors and upper windows. You have it actually popping out a little bit, right? So you give a shadow box line for the upper windows. That's what I'm assuming based on your drawings. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's the same. I just think there's too much of a difference between that right there on the two different buildings. It doesn't look like a continuous building.
That's what we
Okay.
were trying to make it look like.
Well, you did, okay, and I'm not saying, I'm saying I appreciate that, okay, that's all, that's my opinion, all right?
Aesthetics is
I'll leave,
subjective.
I'll leave it at that, okay? And I'm not gonna say it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying, that's my opinion, I don't think it's appropriate, okay?
Understood. I'll make it
Okay.
look. Thank you.
And then, I appreciate the fact that you stepped back, the top two floors to give it a little more, break down the massing. I'm gonna ask you to maybe do more than just that. Because if you look at your balconies, okay, you sort of break up, yeah, that's a good elevation. You break up some of the elevation, but you have a roof right over it, so you carry that cornice line right across the opening. If you interrupted that cornice, all right, that would definitely break up the two massings on either side better, in my opinion. These are all my opinions here, okay? So I'm encouraging you to maybe leave the roof out above that deck there, so it would look like two different massing there, and it'll break. You're trying to break down the massing, and then on the upper floor, you left out the balconies, and you put in a walk-in closet and a separate mechanical room up there. I would maybe encourage you to do what you did on the lower floors, so you can continue that split up, so it looks like two massing instead of just one big hunking mass on the top of the building.
Well, I think that's a good suggestion. However, each, the fourth and fifth floors had a different building program, different number of units.
I'm just,
And then we were able to gain some space and balconies on other sides of the fourth and fifth.
I'm just-
So, no, we'll look at that. No.
I look at that, same thing, when you look at the front elevation, can you put the front, it's the same comment goes to the front elevation too, okay? When you bring up the facade as part of the railing system, it makes the balconies look more massive. I would continue doing what you did before on the other balconies, and just have a thinner line for the floor and have more railing. So it doesn't look as massive. When you first look at this, it looks like one big massing of a little punch hole for that, instead of having two portions of a building. And the same thing, I would go with the cornice there, where you have the setback, and just to get rid of that. And I would challenge you, say, maybe you don't need those balconies up the floors, just have a smaller recess, and that'll give you some of the rooms you need, because you're gonna have to pull back some of those bays, you call them, and where you have the setback, you have the seat, and make that part of your balcony, because that's already a natural setback already, and having more of a space up there, and activate it instead of just putting something that's not going to happen there. No one's going to maintain.
Well, we show a sedum roof,
Yes, and
which is kind of self-maintained. But we can certainly look at the railing types.
yeah, I've done enough sedum roofing where it's good for the first 4 or 5 years, and after that it just doesn't. You need to maintain it, and it's very tough to do. I mean, IKEA did that on their. If you ever go to the IKEA store, all their sedum roof is gone. They don't use that anymore because it's too hard to maintain.
Okay, we can certainly look at taking.
I would just look at that.
Sure.
And then also, if we go back to the first floor, the site plan, where you have your parking, you don't have enough space. You only have 18 feet for a drive lane there. 18 something or other. 18.3. If you made those two parking spaces compacts, which you're allowed to do, that would give you your 20 foot.
But since we're at 5 cars, we don't have any travel aisle width requirement.
You're still required a 20-foot drive lane.
Okay, I'll have to look at that.
Okay.
Maybe I could trouble you for the section of that code. But from what I was just reading in the code, sir, was once you get to 5 cars, travel aisle width is not specified.
I am not talking about travel aisle for pedestrian. I'm talking about vehicular aisle, which is 20 feet minimum. Okay?
That's in the zoning code?
I believe so. Okay, and if you turn those 18-footers to 16-foot compact spaces, that'll give you your 20 feet, okay? And you're set. I'm not asking you to redesign it, I'm just saying, just reclassify it a little bit, okay?
Okay.
And then, if you gain more height on your ground floor there, I know why you put your handicap spot on the outside, so you put a van handicap spot up there, and you need the height. But if you get enough height within your retail space, you can convert that inside spot into a handicap spot, and that move it inside, okay? And that'll bring it closer to the elevator, closer to the door, and makes your handicap spot more acceptable. All right. These are all suggestions. Okay, I'm just looking at this thing here as suggestions to make this project better, because I'm supportive of the project. I just have some questions on how you went about some of these things, okay?
No, understood.
I'm going to leave it here for now, because I got more, but I'm going to let my rest of my board members talk, because otherwise I'm just going to be here all day.
All right. Sheena?
Thank you for joining us this evening. I am pleased to see another project come before us using the MBTA community zoning. And also thank you for proposing more affordable units than is absolutely required. We always appreciate seeing that here. Just a few things. Could you talk a little bit more about your intentions for landscaping? What I saw on the site plan looks like just grass and a stockade fence. Is that your intention?
At this preliminary design phase, yes, ma'am. We have shown the existing trees, of course, which are on the public realm. And right now, we show it's just the grass area around the whole building. We haven't picked out any specific shrubs yet, but we certainly do.
Okay, if you do intend to go beyond grass, please, we'd like to see a full landscaping plan with selections. And if you could take a look at the dumpsters, I didn't see any recycling facilities, and I wasn't sure about the size of the dumpster, if that was sufficient. You do have room back there, I think, for more than one dumpster, but please do take a look at that. Thank you for indicating dark sky lighting. Where do you intend to locate those light fixtures, those exterior light fixtures?
Sure. So you can see even on that plan, the residential entry, you can see we have LED downlight right there. Also, at both entrances, we have the LED downlights. So we're going to leverage all overhangs for downlighting. And also in the recess, one nice thing about recessing balconies, besides giving a nice feel of security from the elements, you have a lot of recess lighting.
Okay.
So right now, all exterior lighting will be recessed light, downlight.
Okay, great, thank you. I also had some questions about parking. My colleague raised many of them. So I will only mention new items. I didn't see any EV spaces called out. You are required, I believe, to have EV parking spaces called out in the plan. So please do that.
There's two, actually.
There are
Sheena.
two.
Yep.
Okay.
They're
I'm
right
sorry,
there.
I missed that.
Yep, by the
Thank
foyer.
you. Let's see. Can you talk about the curb cut? Is the existing curb cut along Everett, how wide is that? is that existing curb cut?
I can only give you a guesstimation, because it's pretty broken up. But it's for a two-car driveway, so I'm going to say 18 to 20 feet long.
Okay. So you mentioned you would reconfigure your plan would not be to narrow it. I thought I saw a note somewhere that it would narrow the current curb cut. It reconfigures but does not shrink that curb cut. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, and I'm not sure the appropriate width for two-way traffic, but if you could take a look at that, as my colleague also alluded to, I'm not sure that 20 feet is the appropriate width, but I am not an expert. So if you could take a look, that would be great. Let's see. Regarding the bike parking, I appreciate seeing the bike room with the full 22 spaces. Do all 22 bicycles fit on the ground, or do some of them need to be hung?
Right, there would be 11 storefronts.
Okay.
So they would be spring-loaded, and obviously you can go back below and pull out the other one. We provided the park area for that pull-out, and I gave a website to which has a good video on it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know why it's taking me this long to realize. Could I please ask that you actually sit over by the microphone so that we can hear your responses? Thank you so much.
Great. Okay. Thank you. In terms of the short-term bike parking, I think that the number of those spaces will likely, or the requirements around short-term bike parking will likely depend on the commercial use at the end of the day. So I'm going to leave that alone for the moment, but I was wondering, how wide is that grassy strip that you have, that those short-term bike parking spaces are located on?
Yeah, that's in the public realm. Let me just pull out the site plans. And is existing.
It's existing, okay.
If you're planning on putting the bike parking there, the next time you come back, let's just have a dimension on that, please. Let's keep moving, Shana.
Oh, okay. So, so there are requirements about distance from the curb of a parking space, of a bike space. Please take a look at that when you come back to us. Let's see. In terms of stormwater management, I appreciate seeing the stormwater management plan, and I appreciate seeing the on-site management. I noticed you used NOAA Atlas 14, which is certainly appropriate since that's what's in the public realm now. As I'm sure you know, Atlas 15 comes out in 26. You may want to upsize your system because it looks like you've sized it to the minimum for today, and my guess is Atlas 15 would require greater management.
Yeah, absolutely. We can take a look at the numbers. Our 2 and 10-year storm do have capacity. The 25 and 100 is at capacity, so we can definitely look at that and max it out as much as we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Do you have in mind a particular commercial use at this time? No? Okay. let's see. Let's see. I don't see bathroom facilities designed for the commercial space, so those would, I imagine, need to be added. And then just a few other things. I'm struggling with the windows, as my colleague did. I'm struggling with the windows, but particularly on the side facades. They lack consistency. They lack balance. As a personal design, my personal design preference is to see more consistency. It looks like there's a fair bit of lack of alignment. If you could take a look at window location and window selection, that would be very helpful.
We will.
And other than that, a material board when you come back would be much appreciated. I did see the material selections and color selections on your plans, and if you could just provide a board or a digital board when you come back, that would be great. Okay, all right. And, okay, great. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Jean?
Thank you. I just want to start by picking up on what my colleague, Mr. Lau, said about the balconies overhanging the setback. If you take a look at 5.3.9 of the zoning bylaw, that sets out the rules, and as long as the balcony is not more than 25 square feet, it can project up to 3.5 feet. So what we don't know by looking at your plans at this point is whether you fall within the 5.3.9 guidelines or not. So it would be helpful when you come back to show us the dimensions and how far they would expand into the setbacks, so we can see whether you're consistent with that or not.
Yes. Yes.
He is. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try harder. I'm concerned about the bike racks on the planting strip because, as you mentioned, that's the public domain. And while we've allowed that occasionally in the past, usually require the bike racks to be on the private property, since they're basically going to be used for people visiting the property. So if you were going to put them on the planting strip, you'd need to get approval from the town, which we would want to see. But my preference, at least, would be to put it on the property itself because it's going to be used by people who are visiting the building. So I think you have that choice. You either have to get the town approval to have it on the public realm or move them both, the one on Broadway and the one on Everett Street, onto the private property. I believe that you're going to be required to plant some street trees. The rules are a street tree every 25 linear feet. So on Everett, there are only 2 existing street trees for about 93 linear feet. So I think you're going to need 1 or 2 more street trees on Everett. And I think you're going to need to plant 1 more on Broadway, probably, if I figured this out right. You might want to talk to the tree warden before you come back next time and tell us what the type of trees are going to be that you're going to be proposing to plant there. So as you know, you're allowed to add the 5th floor as a bonus. So the 2 options you have for the bonus are commercial space that's at least 60% of the ground floor, but you don't have that. Your commercial space is only about 41% of the ground floor. So it looked to me like you get the bonus because you're going to have 1 extra affordable unit, which would be 3. And I just want to have you come back and tell us if that's what you're going to be relying upon to get the bonus 5th floor or not. And if that's not it, how do you propose to do the bonus fifth floor? The bylaw requires that there be a solar roof that's at least 50% of the roof, and it looks like you don't have 50% of the roof covered with solar, and there needs to be a solar assessment that's also provided to us so that we can understand how you're doing that. You can find that in our rules and regulations, and there's a form which you can get from planning to complete on the solar assessment, so we can see that it's either at least 50% or you meet one of the exemptions. On the parking spaces, you can't turn them all into compact spaces. That's more than allowed under the bylaw. I know Mr. Lau suggested compact spaces, but you need to take a look at the maximum. Second is, you probably know technically you don't need a handicap space unless it turns out that one of the residents needs an accessible space. But if it's there, it can't be that space because the rules are that it has to be, I wrote this down.
Shortest possible travel distance.
Thank you, shortest possible travel distance, and that's the longest possible travel distance to the elevator. So I think you have to figure out how to reconfigure this parking so that if there is a space, and I don't know how you're going to do it in the two closest spaces, because you're going to have a wider space and you're going to have an accessible aisle next to it. So I think you'll need to come back with some reconfiguration or show us if you did need a handicap space, how you're going to fit it in and have it be the closest space.
Well, I have a question on that, sir. You know, per 521 CMR, not until you get to 15 spaces are you required to have a handicap space. So why are we required to provide one?
Well, if you look at the 521 CMR 10.3, what it says is that the number of accessible spaces shall not be limited in number by 521 CMR 2321, but shall be provided in sufficient numbers to meet the needs of the dwelling unit applicants. And that's found in 10.3.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said, while you don't need to have one now, because you're not at minimum of 15, if any of the unit residence requires it, you would need to have one. And it could not be the space that you designated because it doesn't meet the rules. So you're going to have to reconfigure this to show us if you had to have a handicap space, how it would comply with the rules.
All right, thank you.
Also, there are 14 units which usually, require 14 parking spaces. Because you have affordable units, you get a 10% reduction, which turns out to be a reduction of 1, so you need 13 spaces. Now, you can ask us to reduce the number with a transportation demand management plan, but I don't think we've seen a completed transportation demand management plan at the moment.
So one was submitted, however, it doesn't actually integrate any of the transportation demand.
This is what I was going to
Yes.
say. If you take a look at the regulation, or the bylaw, I mean, it has a number of factors, and you have to meet at least 3 of them, and you might be meeting one of them. The one about about separating the cost of parking from the rental, but you're not meeting any of the others. So I think you have to come back and show us how you're meeting at least 3 of the transportation demand management. Or you could say that your transit screen is another one that we could consider, but you'd have to come back and show us what the three are going to be and whether you'd want that to be one of them. Also, think about how much you're going to charge for parking since you're separating. Do you know how much you're going to charge?
No, sir. No, sir, not at this point in time.
You know, this came up at one of the previous meetings we had, and I didn't really have any idea. Since then, I've spoken to someone who's about to move into the Legacy Apartments, and he told me that they charge $175 a month parking for outdoor parking and $200 a month parking to park in the garage there. So I think when you come back with the transportation demand management plan, you should tell us how much you're intending to charge for parking, and also how you're going to handle if anybody in the affordable units want parking, and how does that meet and comply with the affordability requirements. So we would need to see that. The stormwater plan, as you know, it will need to be approved by the town engineer. So, I mean, that's where that's going to go. I'd like to see a lighting plan. I appreciate that it's all down lighting, but usually we ask to see an actual lighting plan with what the fixtures are going to be. I'm a little concerned about the pedestrian safety of walking down the street with the vehicles leaving the parking area. So one thing is you clearly can't have any bushes on the side for that. But think about whether you're going to put up a mirror or something else like that so people can see pedestrians as they're coming and show that on the plans. Following up on my colleague, comment about the front end loading dumpster. Yeah, I think you need one for trash, one for recycling, but it's also not clear if those are parking spaces, how somebody's going to get access to the dumpsters. Do you have an answer?
Well, that's a reason we located the handicap space in the driveway, because it may not be used at all, and it could be advantageous for dumpster.
Except the handicap spot can't be there, so you'll have to think about what to do about that.
And you should think about, again, you will need not just the dumpster, but also recycling. So that may not be enough space once you take a look at it.
Okay.
I don't have any other questions. I just want to amplify something that the chair said, which is if this building meets all the requirements, we can't say no. And what we're trying to do now is figure out, does it meet all the requirements or not? And if it doesn't, what does it have to do to meet all the requirements? If it does, we can put reasonable conditions on the proposal, but not one that would sink the proposal. So when you have an opportunity to come up and talk to us, think about whether there are any reasonable conditions that you'd want us to think about imposing on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let's see, a number of the things I wanted to talk about, you've already covered. So just for your reference, the 10% parking reduction for the additional affordable unit, the section that covers that is 824A. So the commercial unit, this might be something we have to discuss. I personally read the 60% of the ground floor requirement as being 60% of gross floor area. Now, the table on sheet A00, it gives square footage. It's got there's a column labeled gross, but these first and second floors have nearly identical values, which means what's shown as gross for the first floor includes parking, and it shouldn't. You also have an FAR square footage, which by the description comes close to what the way our bylaw our bylaw's FAR calculations are done, but it's not quite right because this one excludes storage areas, and those should be included. So the section of the bylaw that you'll want to review is 5.3.22. I mean, honestly, it seems like you're pretty close or I think you're over, but I mean, we need to do due diligence and verify that. But just, again, an accurate GFA per 5322 of the ground floor. Transportation demand management. I appreciated the census data and the way you've kind of looked at things holistically. But as one of my colleagues mentioned, there's really a part of the bylaw, it's 651C, and you have to provide 3 measures from that. And it wasn't clear from the narrative what the other 2 are. Also 2 perhaps typos or Scrivener's errors. The TDM plan mentions a blue bike station at the corner of Nichols Ave and Arlington Street. I don't believe there is a Nichols Ave. I think the street you might be referring to is, or the corner you might be referring to is Broadway and Grafton. It's about 1 block away from the site. And likewise for the zip car, instead of Victoria Street and Mass Ave, I believe you may be thinking of Victoria Street and Broadway. If you could just double check those, and if there's a need for corrections, if you could submit those. So bicycle racks, I heard there is a URL that references a manufacturer somewhere in the submission plans.
There's a website located on the.
If I could
on the ground
interrupt
floor
for a
plan.
second, I went to that website, but that had so much on it, I couldn't find the bike rack that would be appropriate. It would be helpful to see that. Because I went to the URL and it's like,
Okay.
they do everything there.
Oh yeah. So I mean, the main thing with the bike racks, our bylaw says that long-term bike parking, it can't require the bike to be lifted. But in the past, we have approved 2-story racks as long as there's some sort of a mechanical assist. You had mentioned a spring-loaded tray, and which I think that would qualify. But it would be helpful for us to see the particular model. Okay, stormwater narrative. So the existing site does not have any stormwater management. I mean, given its age, it probably doesn't have any stormwater management.
No records are observed for
Okay.
litigation.
So one of the thing on page 4 of the stormwater report, there's a table that breaks down. Here are various degrees of storms, and here are the peak runoff rates and the peak runoff volumes, and for the 100-year storm, the current condition has 61.61 cubic feet per second flow and under existing and 0.8 under proposed, so which sort of shows that the peak runoff rate going up, but the volumes go down. How does that work?
So the volume's going down because there's still storage on the site.
Oh, okay.
So that it's actually getting the water's going into the Caltech chambers, staying in there before it pushes out, and then that 0.8 increase, it's kind of misleading on how it's shown in the graph. It's really that it's not really an increase on runoff on the site because it's proposing a connection into the town system for the overflow. So it's not like it's going to be sheet flowing onto the street.
Okay, so basically you're doing stormwater management into the Caltech system, and there will be some sort of overflow from the Caltech system to the
Correct.
town stormwater management.
Correct.
Cool, excellent. That's all I have.
Great, thank you very much. So I just had a couple of other items. We talked about needing to see the sample board. I know you've brought things with you this evening. I'd also ask you to take a look at the elevations and the renderings. The color, the color and materials are currently not matching, so it's difficult to tell which was the one that was intended. So just something to take a look at for the next time. We'd also like to see the buildings in context with the adjacent buildings. I believe that you did have a mock-up in the rendering, correct? Yeah,
We did,
okay,
Madam Chair.
great, thank you. I would like you to I heard what you said about the 3-part, the
Tripartite.
Yes, tripartite discussion. It does not work in context with the adjacent buildings. As I'm taking a look at this, the top of this building is it's not articulated at all. Every home, every commercial space, every larger development has much more articulation, and we're going to we'll again talk about it, but from my perspective, I'd like to see much more of that. Again, whether it's articulation at the corners of this building, the depth of the cornice at the setback facade. My colleague already talked about the articulation at the balconies so that we don't see the facade returning up, that's its own volume, which will again help to break down the mass. I would say the same at the Everett Street facade. The north facade is a little bit better, but again, we need to break down this mass. And I would ask you to look at 80 Broadway, again, some of the existing vernacular, also, that's a newer example, but some of the other existing vernacular in the neighborhood to make this, to bring a lot more context into the articulation of the building. Ken also brought up the two different window types. Again, I'd prefer to see, if you're going to use double hung, to use them at all of the residential floors. I don't think that you need where the commercial building, where you have those windows. I believe that's the north facade where it's behind the stockade fence adjacent to the property, the adjacent property. Commercial property is, they're never going to want or need those windows. Really think about the design of the commercial space. If, again, we want to understand, how are you going to market this? Are you looking for a retail space? Are you looking to, is this a professional office space? But that's any space would want any commercial space would typically want the wall space, not the windows there. They want the storefront windows on Everett and on Broadway. We talked about articulating the corner of the buildings. Again, trim at the windows on all of the residential floors. Then, how is the garage lit?
Downlights.
Okay, so again, when we provide a site lighting, we would like to make sure that the spill, when some, are they on motion sensors? Are they on all night? What's the plan for lighting the garage?
Right now, it's downlights. Whether they're motion sensor, we haven't been discussed, but we will make that apparent in the lighting plan.
I think that's important for the residents who live nearby to understand what the intent is for the lighting, because that is open and exposed to the adjacent residential properties. So that's very important for us and your neighbors to understand.
Okay.
I think that I'd also, ahead of you coming back next time, ask you to take a look at the maintenance on the site as it stands right now and make sure that it's being maintained, the site and the building are being appropriately maintained.
The existing building.
The existing building. Thank you. So let me just take a look at timing here. Yes.
You, Sarah, can you get this little thing here? Next time when you come, this rendering here you have shown in place, it's not quite accurate. If you can just pull it forward to where the corner of the building is almost touching the sidewalk, that's the way you guys show it on your site plan. Right now on this rendering here, you show it set back like.
I don't think that building is overhanging. The second floor is no longer overhanging. You pulled the.
We pulled that back then.
Yes, but the corner of the building is not where the corner of the building is on your site plan. I just rather have it seen more realistic, okay, when you do that, please.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to flip over to my agenda. So we are 8:51. I'd like to leave about 30 minutes for, up to 30 minutes for public comment. So I'm going to take public comment until 9:20 this evening. That should allow us to hear from folks. I do want to express my appreciation for everybody who has already written to the board those who provided support as well as constructive feedback. That's all been read and is much appreciated. But at this time, what we'd like to do is to open the floor up for public comment. So that's anyone joining this evening. If you'd like to speak, what I'd ask for you to do is please raise your hand. As I call on you, if you could please make your way to the microphone here. You'll have up to 2 minutes to address the board. We will not be volleying questions back and forth to the applicant. Please do not address the applicant. I will take questions and I will synthesize those so that we can answer them at the end of public comment. When you do come up, I'm sorry, I'm barking a lot of directions, but I want to make sure we're all aware of how this will work. Please do introduce yourself by your first, last name, and address, and I will remind you if we need to do so. So, our first speaker this evening. Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Hardeep Singh, 89 Everett Street. So if the board is going to decide on something, I think it should be very clear to all the neighbors as to what regulations are being met, because the 60% commercial, that's a hard limit based on what's described in the regulations. So, and I assume that, you know, on the first page of the plan, they themselves list it as being 41% of gross floor area. So if this is going to get approved, we need to understand why this was approved. And there are a lot of other issues as well. I think you guys touched on some of those. The biggest issue in my mind is that if it doesn't meet the 60% requirement, then the project should be limited to the original regulations as laid out by the MBTA zoning laws, which is maximum of 7 units with 1 parking space per unit. You know, some other issues I have is, you know, I think you guys touched on this, there's no bathroom in the commercial unit, there's no designated loading area. The plan specifies underground electric service, but that doesn't exist in the neighborhood. There's no underground electric service right now. It's all poles. So how is that 400 or 600 amp service going to be pulled into this building? There's 14 units, 20 bedrooms. That's at least 20 people. There's you guys touched on this, 1 dumpster. All that trash from the commercial unit, from those 20 people at least, is going to be in that one area. What does that do for pest management?
I'm sorry, can you just step a little bit further back from the mic and not hold it?
Okay.
You're just popping a lot. Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
That's
should
okay.
I still speak loud?
Yep, you're going. You've got like 10 seconds left.
So the building, the shadow study of the plan shows that the building will cast a shadow over 128 Broadway every morning of the year. 75% of the year, there will be a significant shadow cast even at noontime. And, you know, if I was living at 128, I would be concerned about the fact that it completely ruins any opportunity for solar panels on my house.
You're at time. Thank
okay.
you. Yes, in the blue.
Hi there, Jason Haas, 105 Everett Street. My concern is mostly about traffic congestion and parking in the area. I think there is already at that intersection, so I'm at 105 right across the street from this lot. On Juneteenth this year, I had a minivan on my lawn because they were coming across Everett and someone was coming down Broadway and they hit and landed on my driveway. It's very hard to see. Up and down Broadway, on Everett especially, it's very low to the ground, and so the additional traffic volume in the area, especially already the Broadway transmission absorbs a lot of the traffic on Arlington Eats market days, which God bless, but if that ever stops, then it's going to be even worse. The crossing guard there is there maybe 50% of the time, and of course there are 2 schools. Right, that Gibbs and Thompson that depend on that flow through regularly. So the lack of off-street parking could potentially make the corridor a lot less visible, especially the commercial plus the residential. But the increased traffic in general, I think, is a massive problem that the town needs to be thinking about right there. As is drainage, the curb cut is regularly a pond in the 9 months of the year. I do my best to dig it out and to ladle water into the drain, but we're looking at 100-year storm, but like, given the increased rainflow of global warming, I think we should be thinking about upping that. I think that's a concern. I also am concerned that I wonder why this group wants to be here in Arlington. They had a stop order placed on them in the first weeks when their siding was removed. No one in the town knew what they were doing, so they had to have a stop work placed on them. If someone had gone, they talk about the curb that they're going to put in. If someone had gone by the property tonight, they would see that the curb is already being rebuilt by the town as we speak.
You're at time.
Okay, and the property needs to be maintained.
Thank you. And we did receive your letter, so thank you. Next.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ratnakar Velanki, 21 Adams Street. I speak in strong support of this proposed project, and as you already mentioned, right, I'm not going to be talking about technicals or the zoning bylaws because this is as of right development as long as they meet all the rules. What I'm going to be speaking about is in support of the request for the parking reduction, because that's one of the discretionary items here. And I know that there are a lot of technicals there, the transportation demand management plan, all of that. I know that the board members will do a good job at looking at all of that technicals, but what I want to do is put a human face to that. I live a block away from that, 2 blocks away from that area, and I live in a similar less than 1,000 square feet housing unit there, and I haven't used a car to go into work in the last 15 years. And that's what I want to put a human face there, right? There are plenty of options there. You have 87 service running on Broadway. 77 is not too far. And a short 10-minute walk from there, you also have 88 service from Clarendon Hill, which is not too far. Blue Bike Station, not too far. I believe it's on Broadway and North Union, around that corner. And a lot of people forget this. West Medford is not too far. I take that option a lot of times. 15-minute walk from there, West Medford. So it's such a great place. You have 4 MBTA bus services, if I include also 350, Blue Bikes, commuter rail, and excellent walking facilities, right? And so I just wanted to give my experience living in that area, living in a similar less than 1,000 square feet housing unit, never having driven to work in the last 15 years. And I think that will work. The plan will work, right? I just wanted to say that and speak in support of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Carl Wagner. I live on Edge Hill Road. I'm also a town meeting member. I voted against the MBTA density overlay, which is what is allowing this. I feel like the elephant in the room is that this thing is just way too big. And one of the things that I believe the board said they do have purview over is how it fits in the neighborhood. If you look at Lake Wobegon there, it looks like we're out on the fields or the prairies of Wisconsin or something. There are houses all around that. They're half the size of that. And it's just not right for Arlington. Now, it may be that the MBTA density overlay allows that, but I'd ask everybody here, maybe I can ask people, how many of you are concerned about the size of that building?
We're not posing questions to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, a lot of people just rose up and raised their hands up. So I'd like to point out that despite excellent questions by the board, and I thank you, the board volunteers, for their work tonight, for excellent questions, I feel like we're probing the elephant saying, the skin's a bit rough. Oh, the tusks aren't quite right. It's an elephant in the room. It's too large. And what we can do is we over-delivered the MBTA density law to Massachusetts by 50%. So I suggest kindly that the developers who have a great building, it would fit nice into the center of Boston, or maybe Harvard Square, Cambridge, I would suggest that they voluntarily bring it back 50%. That would be the logical thing to do. It would make your job much easier and the people of Arlington less frustrated. There's a problem also for the residents of this building. There are 14 units. It was said 20 bedrooms. They deserve to have, by the law that I heard town meeting in 2023 and your ARB here, they deserve, as I think Mr. Benson said, 1 parking space per unit, perhaps with some reduction. They don't deserve 5 crappy parking spaces. It's just not right. So I would ask that the parking be considered at the level of 1 per unit, the way Arlington expected it when we took this terrible MBTA density overlay. And I would ask for this building to be much smaller, or we should overturn MBTA density. Thank you.
Next speaker.
My name is Joe Pinciara. I live at 74 Oxford Street, about 2 blocks over from this proposal. So thank you, board, for your considerations. Ma'am, you mentioned the dumpster. I have 3 points basically I wanted to make. I'm not sure what exactly a sufficient dumpster size would be, but I do think that needs to be seriously thought of. Spent Saturday afternoon patching my wall so rodents can't get in. This is obviously, could be a health hazard for surrounding houses. From an environmental standpoint, the town's open space and recreation plan from 2022 to 2029 mentions that having enough trees so all people can experience the health, economic, and other benefits that trees provide. Lower scores are concentrated along Mass Ave and Broadway. So while the gentleman here mentioned the green benefits of the house.
Step back a little bit from the mic.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay, thank you.
The green benefits of the proposal, if I'm understanding it correctly, that big tree on Broadway would need to be cut down. I know I can't ask them, but I'm assuming it would be. Parking, that was my other one, so thank you for asking about that. And more of an editorial comment is they mention, you see in the renderings, it's called a neighborhood space. Unless this is going to be open to the public, I would ask that that be edited to be commercial space because it's misleading. That's all.
Thank you. In the blue, yes.
Thank you. I'm Adam Rodriguez, living at 285 Mass Ave, apartment 17. I'm coming here to speak tonight as somebody who moved here a few years back and really wants to settle down, but can't afford basic almost anywhere in Arlington. This project is an important step forward towards making Arlington somewhere that young professionals like me and young families can actually afford to live, and the commercial space, even if it's not perfect, is an important step towards trying to do something about the problems we've been having with fewer and fewer local businesses being able to stick around. The overall size of the project is reasonably in line with what's on Mass Ave and Broadway. I live in a 35-unit building, and the building right next to us is 15, and we all share one dumpster, and we don't have that many rodent problems. And the developer appears to provide enough parking for essentially 1 for every 2-bedroom unit, so that's 1 car for every young family. And as somebody who lived here car-free for 3 years, this building is right on the 87, 2 blocks from the 77, a 4-minute bike ride from the Minuteman, 10-minute walk from the 88 and 89 at Clarendon Hill, and pretty good access by bike and transit to essentially most of the amenities in this town and neighboring ones. In sum, as a young professional and young renter, this building is exactly the kind of place I would want to live and that I currently cannot afford because Arlington isn't dense enough for the housing prices to be reasonable. I want to see this place get built. I want to see other places like this get built so that hopefully I and other people in my position are able to actually put down roots and call this place home for, tens of years instead of until the prices rise so much, until the rent rises so much they kick me out. Thank you so much and have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you. Next speaker. You don't need to do that. I can see your hand, but please go ahead.
Hello, Asha Kepka, 17 Silk Street. I've lived in Arlington for a very long time, over 20 years, and I know a lot of people are in love with the idea of not having car, but as somebody who's middle-aged, I'd like to say that a lot of people don't have that choice. You know, when you lose your job, you're trying to find a job and you have to commute to your work. We have to make a living. Not all of us, I mean, majority of the people in my neighborhood are not working in a tech industry, which allows them to work remotely. We have to, you know, go to companies where they are. My partner was commuting to Foxborough every day. She lost her job. She's looking for a job. And without a car, she cannot, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of buses we have. She has to get to work. Most of the people do. So the amount of parking spaces will definitely be a difficult decision for some people who wanted to live in Arlington, and they need a car to commute to work. And in this case, if they have to additionally pay for the parking, that's going to be a big burden for them. I'm opposing this project, you know, based on safety, the location. There's a school there. It's a very busy area, and I drive there every day. I sat there today looking at the traffic patterns. A lot of people rely on deliveries, like Amazon deliveries. I don't even know where the truck can park to deliver the goods. There's really no good place to pull over. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Yes.
Good evening. Thank you for all your good questions. I'm George Buckley, 164 Renfrew Street, Arlington. This project is the wrong project in the wrong place. Its unit gain is simply not worth the exceptions asked. A single dumpster certainly will not be adequate here, and in fact, the town is actively requiring regular weekly recycling to go with trash and strongly encouraging composting. This project looks to meet none of these goals. This would be a decent project, probably 3 or 4 stories, but 5 is a stretch way too far for it. It's a massive push to maximize every deficit in the MBMF bylaw. The impact of this huge structure will have numerous serious impacts on the neighborhood, and it should be rejected as proposed. If nothing else, because of the shadow it's going to cause, take sun away from people. This is not another set of buildings there. This is residences that surround it. And we shouldn't allow that. This shouldn't be a project that we allow there at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Yes. Yeah, you go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jonas Silberg. I'm at 62 Everett Street. I am the father of a 2.5-year-old who is going to be going to Thompson, and so that is the first and foremost concern that I'm going to raise. Is Everett Street, as we all know, is already way too high-speed traffic much of the time, and so I'm very concerned about added cars and the speed at which that's happening. And so I would ask the board what the plan is for handling that with the Thompson crossing and just the number of kids that are around in that neighborhood. I think it's really interesting when we look at the renderings on the screen, especially the one that is sort of like the street view. I think it's very telling that street view image that we saw earlier in the rendering does not picture 128 Broadway. And I don't think it's a coincidence, frankly, that it doesn't picture 128 Broadway, because I don't know if the residents of 128 Broadway are in this room, but it does feel like this building is physically imposing its will upon that house. And it's encouraging to hear that the board is thinking about ways of making this building match more the feel of the neighborhood, but that would be just, I would strongly +1 that. If we were talking about the old transmission shop, I would be sitting in this chair saying, hell, build it bigger, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the opposite side of the street. Yeah, that was what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one more speaker. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Alexa Brown. I am from 35 Fremont Street in Arlington, but I'm speaking on behalf of my best friends in the entire world who live at 128 Broadway. I think there are many things that could be said about this project, but the most telling, and coming from the perspective of someone who has spent my entire childhood and is now a young professional in the Boston area, this building will severely impact their property. It will take away sunlight, as people have mentioned, the parking situation. For example, there's an elderly family member in this building who has a handicapped parking spot right outside of this building that I am sure will be impacted by this project because people aren't going to know. I think overall, it's just, as someone who can afford to rent in this area, I would not rent in this building. The parking is limited. The units are very undersized compared to the area and what you can get bang for your buck wise, especially with only 3 affordable housing units. I mean, I could go on and on. I'm just going to leave it at that, but I think that this is not a great project and will not impact Arlington positively.
Thank you. I see we have another speaker all the way in the back. Susan?
Thank you. I'm Susan Stamps. I live at 39 Grafton Street, so this location is right in my neighborhood. And I go by there all the time. It's right across from Eli's gas station. I think that this is, by and large, a great project. We really need more housing in Arlington. I'm in support of it. I do think there are a few changes that could be made to make it fit in more with the neighborhood. I think that's the main problem with it. It's so stark and flat that I agree with the chair's recommendations of more articulation. I would like a big focus on that so it just kind of fits in more with the neighborhood. And in addition to that, perhaps you could require even more landscaping than is required under the zoning to just soften the impact on the neighborhood. And my last suggestion is to, if you can do it, combine that development with a new crosswalk there at Everett Street. Because the neighbors are right. It's a big crossing for the Thompson School. It's really a very dangerous crosswalk. There's a lot of traffic there. And in Cambridge, I see there's a lot of neighborhoods where they have bump outs at the sidewalks now to make it much safer to cross. So I would, if that can be worked into the project, I think that would be a big improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we had 2 others on this side. Yes. In the yellow. Yes.
Andy Wan, 58 Adams Street. I would just like to second what Randa Carr said about the unnecessariness of having a car. I have been living between Broadway and Mass Ave happily without a car. Like when I originally moved to 58 Adams, my spouse and I were originally planning on buying a car, and then we just found it to be unnecessary, because of proximity to 8777 Minuteman, and also the vast majority of friends who visit me do not have a car and manage to reach me just fine. I am also in support of this project because it would be great for there to be another store within walking distance of where I live. As a person who often bikes along Broadway, I do not see additional housing as a threat to my safety. And in fact, having more cyclists and pedestrians on Broadway would make things safer, because it would cause drivers to expect pedestrians and cyclists more on Broadway. I mean, the additional the additional, I guess, 9 cars shown in the image are too few to make much of a difference. As for visibility concerns, I guess I agree with Susan Stamps that like traffic calming measures on Broadway would be great, but like I think of it as orthogonal to producing housing.
Thank you. Let's see, take one from over here. Yes.
Dominic Pecchioni, 3 Country Club Drive, Arlington. If you look at the plan right now, the way that it is, you've got 2 doors coming out of that side access, which means that that's going to become a walkway. There really won't be a grass strip, I mean, from a safety standpoint. The other thing is that the elevations is sort of a patchwork of brick, vertical siding, horizontal siding. Makes no sense from that standpoint, number 2. Number 3, the other thing is that that entire wall on the, I think it's a side yard we're referring to, if that's 5 feet and you build, let's say 128 gets sold and that becomes another wall of 5 feet, you basically have 10 feet separated with a canyon, which our design standards don't want. But the other issue is that has the fire department looked at that and decided how they're going to fight a fire on that side of the building because you have units over there? So, I mean, I think when you look at it, and I know there's a comment on the massing and everything, it's just the situation is that it probably has a lot of issues that need to be re-looked at, mainly from an architectural standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, I'm going to do 2 more comments. Let's see, we have in the gray shirt here.
I'm Lauren Scott at 130 Broadway, and so I really like the analogy of the elephant in the room. I think the baby elephant in the room is the clear means to turn a profit that was used for creating this commercial space that I think is going to be, you know, a subpar commercial space, to put it mildly. You know, 10-foot. I've learned a lot being here today. A 10-foot maximum ceiling, windows along my neighbor's driveway. It seems like it's asking to be empty, just like almost all the commercial spaces many of the commercial spaces in Arlington right now. We're making comparisons to 80 Broadway. I think we all realize that the commercial space in 80 Broadway has been standing empty for a year. And if this is designed to be an attractive commercial space, I think it's right now being set up to turn a profit for housing at the expense of calling it a commercial space to make more money for the applicant.
Thank you. And we have one more comment. There's somebody with the green with your hand up for a while. Yes.
Thank you. Paul Selker, 24 Central Street. I like this project. A couple things that occurred to me as the presentation was going. I agree the fenestration is kind of weird, and I realize that may have something to do with the top 2 floor step backs, but it does feel kind of funky to me, and I wish it didn't. The bay window I actually think breaks up the facade nicely, and I realize it may not be allowed in its current form, but I'd be sorry to see it go, because I think it would create a positive feeling on the facade. I am happy to see bike storage on the first floor at the scale that's provided. It makes me wonder how, if the commercial unit doesn't meet the 60%, it makes me wonder how you possibly could on a site like this. That may be an insoluble problem. And the last thing I'll say is, I guess I'm curious with respect to the handicap space, if you have to show how you could provide a handicap space and provide a handicap space that could be one but isn't, I guess I wonder what the distinction is between that and just providing one. Is something I was wondering about, and you guys would know better than I. That's all.
Thank you very much. All right. So appreciate everyone who shared their comments with the board. For anyone who we were unfortunately not able to get to in the time we have this evening, I would encourage you to please submit any questions, comments you might have to the board and to the Department of Planning and Community Development in writing. We do read and review all of those, and we'll certainly take the time to do so before the next hearing. So thank you. So at this time, I'd like to turn this back to the board. We have quite a list of items that have been identified as necessary for the applicant to address before they do return to continue the hearing on this project. What I'd like to do for the board is to run through those, and then I will open it up for any further discussion, any items that I may have missed, or any items on this list that you'd like to have further discussion about. We will provide you with this list, and you will, we will also be publishing meeting minutes for this, but well ahead of that, we will publish or send you this list. I will send that directly, my list directly to the Department of Planning and Community Development before I leave here this evening, and they'll clean it up and make sure that you receive it. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay. So again, I'm going to run through this. This is, again, not the final list. I'm just running through for board discussion. We will send you the final list. We need to have the applicant review the following items. The elements of the building that are currently projecting into the setback in both the side and the rear. Relook at the height proposed for the first floor commercial space to ensure that it is more aligned with what we typically see, which is in the 13 to 14 foot realm. Ensure that there is no venting through the facade, only through the roof. This was partially addressed, but ensure that this is addressed either in the narrative or in the drawings. For the windows, look at aligning with one style in the residential floors of either double hung or awning. Ensure that there is trim on all of the floors around the windows, similar to the second and third floor. Review the window placement for consistency, balance, and alignment. In terms of the massing, looking to break down the massing further, as we mentioned, the Everett Street facade particularly has balconies that break up the lower two floors, but not the upper. You could either set back the upper two floors on Everett or add a vertical break, much like you have with the bay windows on the north elevation for more articulation. We talked about not bringing up the facade as part of the railing system to decrease the monolithic nature of the building on all sides. Articulate the corners of the buildings. Look at the depth of the cornice at the top of the building, which should be increased. Remove the windows of the commercials, or again, these are just look at and evaluate all of these. Look at removing the windows at the commercial space behind the stockade fence that looks directly into the adjacent property. Integrate the sign into a sign band in a more deliberate and intentional manner, and ensure that the finishes in the perspectives, renderings, and sample boards are all in alignment. Look at maintenance for the sedum roofing. How is that accessed and maintained? Look at the drive aisle width in the garage, and ensuring that it is the proper width and whether or not additional compact spaces are required. Look at moving the potential future or integrated accessible parking space for the interior of the building once you've raised the floor height. Sample board, a landscaping plan. Again, as one of the speakers mentioned, given that there are, I believe it is on the north side, egress doors to that planting area, either show pervious, whether they're pavers or other steppable surfaces to the to either the rear or the front of the site, as well as further landscaping for the areas that can be landscaped. We need to see a site lighting plan and also to understand how the garage is lit and the impact that it potentially may have on the adjacent residences. Need to relook at the dumpster and address recycling as well as trash and ensure that it is adequately sized. Take notes. We need to dimension the grass area where the bike parking is located in the public way and ensure if it is in the public way that there is approval received from the town or relocate it to the property. Take a look at the sewer capacity against the new standards being released in 2026. Look at adding a restroom to the commercial space. Review the zoning bylaw requirement for planting street trees. It looks upon initial review that 1 additional may be required on Broadway and 1 to 2 on Everett. If this is in fact the case, speak with the tree warden about species recommendations. Review the commercial space. It needs to be 60% of the ground floor to achieve the bonus, or look at whether you are intentionally looking at the bonus based on the additional affordable unit. We need more specificity around this and how you're proposing to achieve the bonus for the additional floor. I'd like to know the marketing plan for the commercial property. What is this intended to be used for? If it's intended to be a cafe, you need black iron going through the roof. Is it a retail space? Is it a professional office building? You're going to market it in some way, and we want to make sure that you're intending to market it and actually use it. The solar bylaw requires 50% of the roof to be dedicated to solar, and we need a solar assessment, which has not been provided. We need to see specifically how this meets the transportation demand management standards set out in the zoning bylaw, in the transportation demand management plan. How are you going to address pedestrian safety with cars coming in and out of the garage? We talked about how do you access the dumpsters if that is a parking space in front. We need to have the specific specification of the bike rack. We need to ensure that while this is under review here, as well as you lead up to a building permit, that the site is maintained. So we'd like to come back with your maintenance plan until that point. And I believe that was everything I had on my list. I will open it up to Steve.
I think you've covered it, Madam Chair.
Jean.
We'd like to know exactly what the hanging bike racks are.
I had that in there. The
Oh, did you?
specification, yes.
I'm sorry, I missed
That's okay.
that. What they're going to do to ensure pedestrian safety when the cars are leaving
Yes.
the garage? I don't think.
I had that one too.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
I'm missing all the things.
That's
that,
okay.
You did. I think, yeah, the only other thing I want to mention is the parking, because what we said was there does not need to be a handicap space now, but they do need to show if there is going to be a handicap space, where is it going to be and how's it going to work? So I just thought it was appropriate to be clear about that.
Thank you. Shayna?
Nothing.
Ken?
I just have a question here. The 60% ground floor commercial percentage, it's off the gross footprint of the first floor, right? And that first floor doesn't excludes parking.
That was my reading of the bylaw. It's
I
GFA.
just want to make sure
and
we
it's
have
not-
the same understanding, because that's my
I
understanding.
have the exact opposite understanding. It's not based upon gross floor area, it's just based upon the floor area of the first floor, which extends up to, almost the edge of the property. But it doesn't matter in this case, because they get the bonus by having one extra
Actually,
affordable unit.
not quite. The one extra affordable unit brings them up to 21.4%. They'd need 22.5.
No, it brings them up to 14 units times 22.5% is 3.15.
Oh, okay.
Round down.
All right,
They
fine.
have 3 units. They meet the requirement.
Okay.
No, Gene, I agree with you. It's mute for this project here, but I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. Otherwise, we're going to have to clarify it amongst ourselves.
Well, we should clarify it amongst ourselves now.
Yes.
We did on a former project. I will make sure that those notes are circulated amongst the board.
Because that's what I'm confused about right now. Okay?
We did this on a prior project on Mass Ave. So I will
Okay.
circulate those notes.
All right. That's all I had.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, does the applicant have any questions based on the list of items that we just identified for you?
No, I think we're
Okay. The next step for us would be to identify a date for us to continue the hearing until. So, Sarah, do you have the list of upcoming redevelopment board hearing dates? And we can identify one that meets with your schedule as well as the schedule of the board.
Yes, we could do.
You just need to pull your microphone down.
So we have, I'm going to assume you're not going to be able to have these items turned around by next week. So that would bring us to the October 6th meeting, in which all the documents would be needed to be provided to us by September 8th.
By September.
That's a good point. Well, we have either the September 15th meeting. I don't know. Or and then we only have the next meeting is October 6th. So those are our two options.
October 6th, but those, when the materials would need to be provided is not, I think you had said it, date in early September. Could you just restate the date?
Sure. I mean, we could have it by September 22nd. You can get things in by then. So the upcoming hearings that we have are September 15th, in which you'd have to get everything to us by the beginning of September, like right after Labor Day, or October 6th. October 6th, if you could get it to us by September 22nd.
Sorry, what's the date after? What's your next one after October 6th?
Oh, sorry, October 20th.
And that would be October 6th when we'd need materials. October 20th? Okay. We can continue this to October 20th. Okay. So is there a motion from the board? Just one second. Let me pull up our docket number here. Is there a motion from the board to continue the public hearing for docket number 3862 for 126 Broadway to October 20th?
So motioned.
Second,
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
yes.
Shayna.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So we appreciate all the work that's gone in so far, and we really do look forward to you coming back to the board. We will send you the list of items we went through today. If you do have any questions, please direct them to the Department of Planning and Community Development, and Sarah and Claire can certainly support you with answering any questions you might have between now and then.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And I know that some people may be exiting as we are moving to our next agenda item. We are still in an active meeting, so please do so as quietly as possible. Let's now move to agenda item number 4, which is a public hearing for docket number 3849, 259 Broadway. And I will turn it over to Sarah from the Department of Planning and Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On August 4th, 2025, DPCD received an email from the applicants of 259 Broadway related to docket number 3849, requesting that the application be withdrawn and the hearing closed without prejudice. I believe they are working through some issues after visiting with the Historical Commission and determining their next steps.
Thank you very much for the update. Do you know if the Historic Commission has published meeting minutes from that recent meeting? I believe it was a week or two ago.
I am not aware of those minutes.
Madam Chair, I looked for their agendas and minutes, and they have no recent minutes posted.
Do you know if the meeting with the Historic Commission occurred?
There is the last published agenda of the Historical Commission, which I think was July 20-somethingth.
So there wasn't.
It included a formal hearing for 259 Broadway in the agenda.
Was there a forum, though? I don't think there was enough people there.
That I do not know.
Okay.
I went to their website, looked for agendas, looked for minutes, and that's what I saw on the agenda.
So I had attended the informal discussion that the Historic Commission had, and it seemed like they were, that there was a clear pathway at that time forward. So I would just be interested when those meeting minutes, we'll keep an eye out for those. Steve?
After seeing this agenda, seeing the memo from staff, I did take a look at to see if recent permits were pulled for 259 Broadway, and there was a full demolition permit pulled in late July.
Okay.
So that may provide an indication of what the applicant's intentions are.
Okay. All right. We'll have to do a little, perhaps I will reach out to the chair of the Historic Commission and see if we can find an update as to the occurrence from that meeting. Well, in light of that, let's see. Is any other discussion? Jean?
None.
Shayna?
None.
Ken?
No.
Is there a motion to accept the withdrawal of the application for docket number 3849259 Broadway and close this public hearing?
So motioned.
Second.
I will take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Shayna?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. This docket number has been closed. Let's move to agenda item number 5, which is an update on special permits for 1306 to 1308 Mass Ave and 190 to 200 Mass Ave. I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regarding docket number 3760, which was an application by RB Farina Roofing Company. It was granted a special permit on August 28th, 2023, in order to change the use from retail to commercial office space of greater than 3,000 square feet. The permit is valid for 3 years under section 3.3.5B. However, the special permit is subject to the statewide Mass Leads Act of 2024, which includes provisions to extend the life of land use permits. That automatically extends many real estate projects such as this during that tolling period, which took place between January 1st, 2023 and January 1st, 2025. So any applications that were approved during that time are automatically extended by an additional 2 years, bringing this application to an expiration date of August 28th, 2028. To date, they have applied for a building permit as of October 10th, 2023, but there has not been any activity really since. There was a plumbing permit pulled in August 24th, but that remains open. So according to the building official, the building permit is considered expired. If the applicant wanted to reopen that building permit, they would have to resubmit. It's a little more of a formality, but at this point, their building permit is considered expired because it has had no activity in the last 180 days.
So I have a question around the plywood that they're using to board the property. You mentioned that the DPCD staff is working to find a solution. Can you talk about the progress there?
Correct. So the economic development coordinator has reached out to them. They're in process. I believe they have taken down the plywood as of my last conversation with Katie.
Do you know what my understanding was the storefront had been was it removed? I mean,
I don't have an update on that right now. I will get one for you and provide it to you. They have been informed that,
I feel like I walked by this weekend and the plywood was still there.
I'll follow up.
I would agree with you. I think,
I believe
I
they're-
live up
mean,
the
they-
hill, and I believe
Right. But I believe
I
they
ran
were,
by
the
that.
proposal was, I think Katie was suggesting that they at least paper the, We'll follow
It's
up.
important because they are definitely in violation of the vacant storefront ruling, and it's very disappointing that they left the space in this condition. Steve?
I was going to say, I
This is
feel
Farina
what-
Roofing, correct?
I'm sorry,
Farina Roofing?
Farina Roofing, yes.
Farina Roofing, who's left it
The
this
former
way.
Tweet, yes.
Yes.
I want to say I bike through the Mass Ave and the Heights every day on my commute, and I want to say that there's still plywood there.
Yes. Okay. I think that it's important to understand how, what fines, et cetera, the town is enforcing, given how long this has been in violation without active construction.
we'll work with the inspectional services director, who has been in contact with the applicant very recently, and provide a solution.
Great. Thank you very much. Jean?
Don't have
Any
anything.
questions on Shana?
Are they maintaining the property in other ways? Or is the sidewalk getting shoveled, or leaves getting removed, things of that nature?
I don't believe the property is in the best of conditions. They have, as to shoveling, I can't speak to past winter, but they have been notified that they are not in compliance with the vacant storefront bylaw, and that they need to remedy the situation.
Okay, thanks.
Ken?
no, I have no questions.
Okay. All right. And our next.
The next
property.
update.
Yes.
So our next update is 190 and 192 to 200 Mass Ave, which is the 30-unit development at the corner of Lake Street and Mass Ave. The application, docket number 3650, was approved on February 27th, 2027, for a special permit to develop a 4-story mixed-use building. They have applied for their demolition permit. They are currently doing hazardous material remediation, which the state is overseeing on the property. So once that work is finalized, which should be in the next couple of weeks, they will be issued their demo permit. They're waiting on their sewer and water to be cut and capped, and then they will be able to apply for their demo permit, and while we continue working with the applicant on their development approval, their development plans. Their permit was approved in February 2023, so with the extensions, it is extended to February 27th, 2028. They have been providing documentation to DPCD to review with the redevelopment board to ensure that this project moves forward as smoothly as possible, given challenges in the past. So they are looking forward to a nice, smooth process.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the memo for both of these properties. I really appreciate it. Steve, questions?
Nothing on 190 to 200 Mass Ave.
Jean?
Nothing.
Shana?
Nothing.
Ken?
No, nothing.
Very much appreciated. That's helpful to know where they are in the process. There have been quite a few questions, so I appreciate that that update's been released for those who are interested. That closes agenda item number 4. We'll now move to agenda item number 6, open forum. So we'll open it up to anyone who wishes to speak this evening. Seeing no one, we will close open forum forum and move to agenda item number 7, which is new business. I would like to start off with one item of new business. There was a question that I received through, let me make sure I get the right committee, through my apologies, give me 1 second. It's actually just from the town moderator, who had asked 2 meeting members to pose the question of ways it might make it easier for town meeting members to know and review the recommendation of the Select Board and Redevelopment Board before town meeting starts. It might include changes, for example, to the schedule of submitting warrant articles. In our view, are there changes to the warrant schedule or other things that would make the work of our board easier or that would provide more time for review? If we could make any change, what would that be? And they've asked, the moderator has asked these individuals to report to the Town Meeting Procedures Committee this week on any changes that we might propose related to the warrant schedule. So I can certainly ask for more time to consider, which I'd like to do, because I think I at least have quite a few things I would propose changing to the schedule, given how challenging our board finds the already packed schedule in order to lead up to town meeting, between the warrant article reviews, the hearings, the deliberation, the preparation of the board report, the final approval of board reports, and then the creation of all of the slides, the consent agenda, which then typically gets pulled by one member. There are a number of places where things could be much more efficient for the town and for this board. But I'll open it up for any initial thoughts, starting with Kim.
I think we just have to have more communications with the select board.
What does that look like?
Oh, I need more time to think about that.
Okay, that's fair. Shayna?
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to sit on it and maybe send you an email, or if more appropriate, send it via Sarah or Claire, but send you something later this week.
Sure. So I'll ask Jean and Steve for their thoughts as well. But what I could do is identify that we would like to submit our collective thoughts, which I'm happy to collate early next week. But Jean?
Yeah, I would like to get in writing what you wrote, said some.
I will forward it to you.
Time to think
Yes.
about it.
Yep.
Think of,
Absolutely.
No, please finish.
the only other thing I would say is they could close the warrant a lot sooner to give us more time.
Steve?
I was going to say something similar, because, you have the period where town meeting starts, and if you just kind of plan it out backwards, well, you've got to you've got to get reports in the hands of town meeting members, which means the reports have to be approved, which means they have to be written and deliberated and edited, which means you've had to have voted, which means you've had to have had hearings, which means the warrant would have had to close.
Right. It's all the
So-
voting, noticing.
Yeah, so I think the process needs to start, frankly, the process should start sooner. And as far as, that's just a general thing for us. I mean, one of the things that we might consider at some point is where we traditionally do all of our hearings and then do sort of a long deliberation and voting session at the end. We might consider doing something similar to what the select board does, where they, they'll typically take some number of new articles for first hearings and then some number of articles for deliberation. And that way their report kind of gets drafted as the process moves on. That it might be worth considering, or just asking, the select board's administrator how well it works for them, for example.
Thank you, Steve. All right, so what I will do is I will let them know that we need more time to take a look at this, and I will send this out to everyone. If the end of this week is achievable, that's great. If not, just let me know what time frame you'd like, and I will communicate that back to Adam and Rebecca. Absolutely, yes. That's all I have for new business. Sarah, did you have anything?
Nothing new at this time.
Ken?
I do have one I want to bring up along Mass Ave. I don't know, is that between Oric, old vacuum shop, and MBTA bus turnaround? There's a long line of blue canopies along that retail space. That canopy's all ripped up and torn and flying all over the place. I think we should look into about addressing the owner and say, hey, what are you going to do about this? Because it really is, it brings the whole neighborhood down when you see stuff like that.
So I know you've requested that of Katie, the Economic Development Coordinator, a couple of times. Has that communication, we don't know if that communication has occurred. Sarah, is that something you could follow up with Katie on, please?
Will do.
Okay. I agree.
It looks fine here, but it's not that.
No, I agree. It's an eyesore, and it would be great if the department could follow up with that. Great. Shayna?
Nothing.
Jean?
Nothing.
Steve?
Yes. And this is maybe a little bit of a question for Sarah. I don't mean to put you on the spot. She was not prepped with this question. But reading through my mail this afternoon, I caught an RFP for the town to update our municipal vulnerability plan. We're looking for a consultant. We've got a $60,000 budget and a 3-year project timeline. This sounds big. So I'm wondering what motivated this, the update, and what can you tell me about the process?
Well, it is I believe the timeline is coming up for us to start updating it. This is a project that's being led by David Morgan in the conservation, the environmental planner / conservation agent. I don't have very many details on that, but it is a big project. It is going to take a lot of man hours or woman hours. And I will keep you posted on updates as we get them.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Any other new business? All right. Seeing none, we will close agenda item number 7, and I will see if there is a motion to adjourn.
So motioned.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Shayna.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.